everybody, and welcome to a very specific haul. Today I am going to be showing you all the things that I own that have to do with George Orwell. George Orwell is my favorite author. I am completely obsessed with the man. I think he was a bloody genius. And so today I'm going to be showing you the books I own by him, but also a few extra pieces of interest. I'm really excited to do this. Let's hop to it. The first book I ever bought by George Orwell was Animal Farm. This was the first book I ever read by George Orwell back in high school, and I completely fell in love with it. Animal Farm is about a farm where the animals decide to have a revolution. They kick out the farmer that owns them and put into place their own ideal government, but it quickly turns sour and you see just the political turmoil. It's also a satire on the Russian Revolution. It's fascinating. Now, the second novel that I bought by George Orwell was, of course, 1984, and I knew I had to get it in the matching edition. It's a dystopian novel about a society where the government rules literally everything. Just thinking negative things is illegal in this society, and it's about our main character Winston, who is realizing that this is not a great place to be in and how he decides to kind of rebel against. I will always like Animal Farm a little bit more, but it's amazing. Now, quite recently, I found out that these aren't the only two novels in these editions. There is also Down and Out in London and Paris. Look at them! My god, they're so beautiful! George Orwell often deals with the theme of poverty and exploring and understanding what poverty is. And Down and Out in London and Paris are some of his observations while he is destitute and penniless, living in London and Paris. But you don't see the extravagant, beautiful London and Paris. You see the gritty side. These editions, just so you know, were designed by a guy named Shepard Fairey, who I'll link his website down below because he does some really wonderful artwork. Like Now, the final novel that I own by George Orwell is Keep the Aspidistra Flying. Again, I love this cover. I can't even handle how beautiful this cover is. This book deals with the topic of money. You have our main character, Gordon, who has decided that money is evil, that money brings nothing but sadness, and so he's decided to live outside of the economic system. He's only gonna make enough money to scrape by, and it's about how that works out for good old Gordon. One thing that was really peculiar was that it kind of had a happy ending. George Orwell is probably not the person to go to if you're looking for a happy ending, and this one kind of had a happy ending. So now, just because that's the last novel I own by George Orwell doesn't mean that it's the last book. George Orwell was actually a journalist. Most of his writings were actually essays and non-fiction work. The first essay collection that I have by him is Shooting an Elephant. Oh, I haven't finished it yet. I'm working my way through it, but it's genius. There's an essay in here called Bookshop Memories. I wish everyone had to read it. It's about his time working in a bookstore, and he's just being super judgmental of all the people that come into the bookstore and stuff. It's so good. It's so good. Shortly after picking that up, I also picked up Politics and the English Language. This is a pamphlet. It's literally held together by staples. It's just 4 pages, but it's an essay, and I'm excited to read it. And finally, I went a little crazy and I picked up all of the Great Ideas collections that Penguin has published for George Orwell. So I have Some Thoughts on the Common Toad, Decline of the English Murder, Books versus Cigarettes, I love this cover, and Why I Write. These are awesome. I love getting to look into this guy's mind and see his thoughts on day-to-day things and see the crazy things that he experienced. They have no unifying theme in the design, and I kind of really dig that. So these are the books that I own by George Orwell. I am so happy to have these. Looking at these brings me legitimate happiness and joy, and I love them. But I also have a few extra things to show. Firstly, I have this mug that says 1984 on it. I don't drink coffee and I don't drink tea, so I have absolutely no use for a mug. That doesn't mean I can't have it though. I'm using it as a pen holder and I love it because it sits beside my laptop and next to my TARDIS cup holder and it's just perfect. Finally, finally, I have two t-shirts. The first one is this purple 1984. It has the giant eye of Big Brother staring you down, which I love. And I also love that it has his name on it. And finally, I love the color. I also got this shirt, which I love. It says Thought Criminal on it, which is terminology from 1984. And it has kind of that thought bubble behind bars, which I think is just great. This is from an amazing website that I discovered called All Riot. They print amazing t-shirts that are very kind of anti-government, anti-establishment. So I'll also link that down below. And so those are my George Orwell things. The next thing I want to acquire is a print of George Orwell. There's this one really classic shot of George Orwell that you always see whenever you look up George Orwell. That is the next thing that I will be acquiring. It might be a little bit weird to some people that I have so much stuff from this one author, but this is an author that I really care about. This is an author that has really impacted the way that I think, and an author that I'm really excited about. Whenever I'm reading George Orwell, I feel good. So down below, let me know, have you ever read anything by George Orwell? Obviously, I highly recommend that you do, and if you have, let me know which one. Also though, let me know, what author are you most obsessed with? I've recently just gone crazy with George Orwell stuff, and I love it. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye! Today we're going to talk about Obsidian by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is the story of Kat, who with her mother has just moved to a new house in a new town.